Joining us now is Stephen Dettelbach. He's a former U.S. attorney for Northern Ohio. Mr. Dettelbach, it's really nice to have you here tonight. Thanks for being here.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Have I explained the Ohio law here, and am I asking the right questions about it?
Yeah, well, I think you are. But in addition, I'm not so sure that I agree that it's clear that even under federal law that you can't pay a delegate for their vote and be in some trouble. But we don't have to get there because, as you said, in Ohio, of all places, there's a specific law that clearly covers delegates and conventions. And look, like all criminal laws, they apply to conduct that occurs in part or in whole in Ohio. So we talk about in the criminal law a thing called venue, or jurisdiction. Where can something be done? And, you know, just as if you committed a fraud and part of the fraud occurred in Ohio and part of the fraud occurred in Indiana, or a crime of violence or a rape or any horrible crime, you know, if part of this crime occurs in Ohio, you're going to have to face an investigation and prosecution in Ohio.
In terms of, I don't mean to get too technical, but in terms of what you mean by taking place in Ohio, how would that apply to basically a bribe that was consummated in Cleveland, right? So let's say somebody in the U.S. Virgin Island makes a deal, is offered a bribe, accepts the bribe, and then turns up in Cleveland, and all they do in Cleveland is vote. Would that
all
still
they
be...
do. That's a pretty big thing to do, right? I mean, that's what you're being bribed for, is the vote. So, you know, one example you could think of is cases involving congresspeople in the federal side, where there was a case involving former Congressman Dan Rostenkowski, right? A lot of the things of value, a lot of the corrupt actions happened in Illinois. But he was prosecuted in the District of Columbia by then U.S. Attorney Eric Holder. So it's going to be hard. It's hard to imagine a situation with the convention happening in the state of Ohio where there would be some sort of illegal conduct that would not touch Ohio at all. And I guess now, as a private attorney, if a client came to me and they said, hey, you know, I'm going to do this thing that's clearly illegal, but I'm going to get around it by doing most of the stuff outside Ohio, what I tell them is, you know, to channel the Republican Party's Nancy Reagan and just say no. Because that is a very dangerous place to be. Juries don't like those arguments. Judges don't like those arguments. And you want to be making those arguments from a jail cell in some appeals case.
Stephen Dettelbach, former U.S. attorney, thank you for helping us understand this. This is a strange aspect of this story, but it's good to be forewarned. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.